Hello there! Open the doors and get the train ready. Remember that you are in Switzerland. Change the train software accordingly and only use the third pantograph, as it is the only one that works here. Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan and I'm one of the developers of the Just Trains Railjet Advanced. This is actually one of the scenarios included in the package. And I'd like to show you a couple of things in this second part of our tutorial videos. We will be concentrating on how to operate and drive the train. Right, so first thing we do is open the doors as usual, press the T key, and then we jump in. We have covered the startup procedure already in part 1, so I'm not gonna do that again. And we'll jump forward to the point where the train is ready to depart. Right, the train is now fully set up. We still have a couple of minutes before we are scheduled to depart, so I'm going to show you a couple of things. First thing I'd like to show you is the headlight switch, which is this switch here. You can just move it forward and backwards. Alternatively, you can use the H key. So if we jump on to the outside, this is low beam, high beam, low beam again, and then we have the side lights. So by pressing H you go brighter, by pressing Shift and H you go dimmer. Please note that in Austria all trains always have to have the lights on whenever they're driving, and it is recommended that when you enter a train station that you use the side lights. We have some cab lights as well, which is this lever here. Moving it forward switches on a small reading light, moving it backwards switches on and off the big light at the ceiling, so you can actually switch on both at the same time should you want to do so. We also have some mirrors which can be used to check on the passengers. Press M for mic to switch them on, to fold them, unfold them. In the Loco you actually have to keep the M button pressed. In the driving trailer here you just press M to unfold them and M to fold them again. Now if you forget to fold them, don't worry. Once the train passes a speed of 30 kilometers per hour, they fold in automatically. Right, last thing I'd like to show you is the AFB or RFB. To activate or deactivate, press Shift plus A.
RFB. RFB.
Now whenever you activate and deactivate the AFB, it is very good to have the lever in the 0 positions, in the locked position. So you have this little pink dot that appears now, and this is basically your cruise control. So by pressing Y you can move the dot up, and by pressing C you can move the dot down. We are now limited to 40 kilometers per hour. So let me move it to 40. You can see that by this signal here. One thing to remember is that this is used to hold the speed. You should not be using this to drive a train. Particularly decelerating a train with the AFB is not a good idea, as it will always apply full brakes. Right, we can hear the doors closing. So pretty much ready to go. And I'm going to show you one advantage of the AFB if you use it to pull away. So I'm just going to give power now, quite a bit, actually way too much. Look here, yeah, we 70% power. But as you can see here, the AFB limits us to 30% power. Now you need to remember that the Taurus locomotive is not only the fastest electric locomotive in the world, it is also one of the most powerful locomotives in the world. So pulling away with 100% power would actually rip off the couplings on the first carriage, and you don't want to do that. So really you should be pulling away with about 30% power, and if you use the AFB, that's exactly what's going to happen. It will limit you to 30%. Right, so we are cruising along now. And the next thing I'd like to show you is the Roadrunner. The Roadrunner is basically a train length indicator. So it can be quite useful, and it will show you when the last carriage of your train has passed a particular point. So let's say we have a crossing coming up here. We want to know when the last carriage has passed this point. Press E twice. And now wait till you hear a noise similar to the Roadrunner cartoon. There we are. And that means that the last carriage has passed that particular point. Another thing I'd like to show you quickly are the screen wipers. As always, you activate them by V for Victor. If you press once, you have interval. If you press twice, you have permanent, and 3 times you have permanent fast. By pressing Shift plus V, you go back down the selections. In the driving trailer, you actually have a panel here where you can make the selection manually if you like. Right, we are slowly but surely approaching the border to Austria, and next I'm going to show you how to set up the train to cross the border into Austria. Alright, here we are in St. Margrethen in the station, and whilst passengers are boarding and deboarding, we get the loco ready to cross the border into Austria. The first thing we need to do is lower the pantograph and then switch off the main switch. Next we go to the DDI and change the software to Austria. Once again we have to put the reverser to neutral and then back forward. Right, raise the pantograph and wait till this symbol has gone blue. There we are, main switch on, and that's it. And now we're ready to proceed. Right, welcome back. We have now jumped into a different scenario. We're on a different train and we're sitting in the loco, and I would like to show you a couple of things in the cab of the Taurus locomotive. One thing I'd like to show you is an option on the DDI. As you know, the Taurus locomotive is not only used for pulling railjet trains, but many other things as well. And should you use this loco to, let's say, pull a very heavy freight train, you might want to increase the power of the electrodynamic brake. And you can do so by pressing 0, and you have all these options here, and it says here E-Bremse Erhöhung, which means electrodynamic brake increase, which is on off. So here press 1 and then E, and that changes it to on. And that means now that the electrodynamic brake is more powerful. Now, talking about brakes, we have the usual braking system in this loco as with all the others. The loco brake here, the standard brake here, and of course the electrodynamic brake. Now the electrodynamic brake by default, I'll just put this to 0, is locked. So if I would use the standard key, which is the full stop key, you see nothing happens. So you need to split it from the normal brake, and you do this by pressing minus and full stop at the same time. There we are, and now it works. And you only have to do this once. So once you've split the brake, you can use it as with any other train. Right, we're cruising along nicely, and the next thing I'd like to show you is the emergency brake here. It's this red button, and when you press it, 4 things are going to happen. The train applies full braking, the horn sounds until the train has come to a complete stop, the pantograph is lowered, and the main switch is switched off. So in many ways, when you press this button, the train braces for impact, if you like. So let's demonstrate. Nice straight, and emergency brake. There we are. So we've come to stop. As you can see, the pantograph has been lowered and the main switch has been switched off. So what would you do now? You would have to put the lever into the 0 position, raise the pantograph, once again wait till this has gone blue. There we are, main switch on. Just check that all the brakes are actually in the off position. There we are, that seems good. And then we're ready to go. Right, the last thing I'd like to show you is the switches over here. So here we have the cooling system, which normally is an automatic, and the loco will take care of it by itself. If for whatever reason you feel that the loco should have more cooling, you can switch it into the higher position here, or if for whatever reason you want to switch off the cooling completely, you put it to 0. By default you should leave it in automatic. Another switch here is this one here, and this is the connection between the loco and the carriages in terms of power supply. So it's currently in 0, which means there's actually no power going from the loco to the carriages. So always ensure it's in the 1 position. So there'll be lights and Wi-Fi and all the other things at the back. Right, and this marks the end of the second video. I hope you found it useful. And I hope to see you again next time round when I show you a bit more about this product. Until then, safe driving and bye bye.